And how you doing, everybody? Mark Lowry here with you, and welcome to another fine evening of Elkhart Lion football. And tonight, we stay in the Northern Indiana Conference, as tonight the Lions take on the South Bend John Adams Eagles. Live from Rice Field, Mark Lowry here with you, and another cool, crisp October night here in Elkhart. And tonight, another Northern Indiana Conference clash, as tonight the Lions take on the South Bend Adams Eagles from the NIC North. They started off a year at 3-0. They have lost their last three opponents, including a 30-26 loss over at New Carlisle to the Cougars of New Prairie last week, while the Lions were having no trouble whatsoever over at Father Bly Field, taking out South Bend St. Joseph by the count of 49-6. Coming up here on the pregame show, we'll be in the tunnel, of course, with Coach Shudock. We'll give you the NIC report and more coming up, the keys to the game. That's all coming up next here on New Level Broadcasting and the Elkhart Lions channel here on YouTube. That's coming up right after these important messages. That's coming up in just a little bit. Here and now, let's take a timeout, and we'll take a timeout for our good friends at First Source Bank.
Sean was about to strike out and end the season, or so they thought. He'd been doing the one thing proven to make a big difference in any player's game: practice. In the same year-round place where pros recruited by the Chicago Cubs train. There's never been anything like it in the history of this region, and it'll change your game too. First Source Bank Performance Center. Wow the crowd by stopping those hard slams and short hops other infielders fear. Put the ball where you want it and get on base when it matters most. Pitch faster and better than anyone else. Train with regulation baseballs, softballs, and the professional trainers you need to up your game the way the pros do now. In the off-season at First Source Bank Performance Center. Memberships, individual lessons, infield, pitching, batting, softball, and baseball all year long. Visit FirstSourceBankPerformanceCenter.com today. FirstSourceBankPerformanceCenter.com.
Bunch of Pros, serving Michiana for over 30 years with quality pools, spas, and service. Look what they have to offer: pools, spas, all the accessories. We offer complete installation, service, and maintenance. Bonchar Pools has two locations to serve you in South Bend and Elkhart. Call Bonchar Pools at 1-800-875-6550 or visit their Elkhart store at 23695 US 33 East in Elkhart.
Have a dirty car? Need it all cleaned up? Then visit Caribbean Auto Spa. They have 3 locations across Millbury and Elkhart. They have all new touchless wash equipment. Visit cewashes.com to learn more.
And welcome back here to Rice Field. Mark Lowry here with you, and 11:30 to go here in the pregame left. Earlier this week, we had a chance to sit down with Coach Shudock and with our usual In the Tunnel with Coach Shudock, and talk a little bit about that St. Joe contest, as well as looking ahead to this contest here with John Adams. And here's our conversation.
And hi, everybody. Mark Lowry here with you in the tunnel with Coach Shudock. And Josh, everybody's talking about the 49-6 ball game. But what they're really talking about, if you look at the film, we'll start with this. Did Mason actually catch that ball at the 1 yard line?
I thought, looking at the film, so 2 things. One, I think he caught it and scored by rule. But 2, there's no way the official could have made that call because he wasn't there to see it. It was a deep ball down the middle, and he wasn't there to see that it got caught and crossed the plane. And so because the ball got dropped when it hit the ground, like when he landed on the ground, the official had no other option but to call it incomplete.
Yeah.
So I completely understand.
I was afraid he was going to rule a fumble out of the back of the end zone and a touchback going the other way, but that's neither here nor there.
Yeah, he couldn't have called it a fumble because the ground can't cause a fumble,
right.
And that's what happened. So he caught it, and then he dove with outstretched arms, and the second that ball in high school crosses the plane, like, you don't have to complete the catch in high school like you do in the pros, and so he caught it, reached the ball out. The second the ball crosses the plane, it's a touchdown, but there was no official there to see that, so I completely understand why it got called the way it did.
Okay, with that little mini controversy out of the way, if I was to tell you any time of the year that you would only have the possession of the ball for 4 minutes of the ball game, and the other team would have it for 21 minutes of the first half, and you scored 35 points, would you think I'd be a candidate for the funny farmers?
Yeah, it was a weird game. Obviously, they were overmatched. I mean,
we scored at will, basically.
Yeah, there's no disrespect to them. We have really good players. They're hurting a little bit, and then they had some guys out. So, I mean, it was a perfect storm for that type of game to happen. But I will say this, on our end, we executed well. I mean, you don't just score points just because you snap the ball. You have to execute, and our kids did that.
Okay, with that being said, again, after looking at the film, was there some things that you still say, well, if we tweaked a little bit this way coming in for this game against Adams, maybe we could do better on this way or this side? Or
Yeah, well, I mean, we're still struggling on our punt team. I mean, that's the second game in a row we can't get the snap back to our punter. Now, mind you, they didn't bring pressure, and we picked it up and kicked it anyway, but in a big game, we've seen how that can hurt us. The Penn game that hurt us, and it started our downfall of the Penn game that we ended up getting out of there with a win. But so that's got to be better. We also, I think we can continue. I don't think we've reached our potential or anywhere near it defensively yet. We're playing well overall in terms of keeping other teams out of the end zone, but I think we have another level to our defense that we haven't seen yet, and I think that I'm excited to see that progress as we go along with the season.
And another thing that was great to see Friday night was we got to play a lot of kids. And who's this Javon Sharp kid? he was tremendous.
Yeah, Javen, he's a freshman. We knew that at some point we're probably going to have to give him an opportunity. Obviously, he plays a position that we have Derek Woods at, so it's not like he's just going to start for us as our main back, but he's just really, really good, and we felt like this was the right week to give him a chance. Kenneth Dennis didn't play with an ankle injury, and he's our backup running back, and then Elias Leonard wasn't with us on Friday night either, so it was a legitimate reason where he was actually our number 2 back, and we needed him. He obviously played in the second half of the running clock, but you can see how athletic he is.
Oh, yeah.
He's just fast and for a long time.
No question about it. All right, that's St. Joe. That's in the past. Now we look ahead. Stay in the Northern Indiana Conference. Back home for 2 weeks. Boy, it's amazing. We haven't played very many games here in Rice Field. We're going to play Adams. What does the film show on Adams? They were hot early, and now they started to cool down a little bit.
Yeah, they've been playing. Listen, they played some pretty good football. Their first 3 games, they won, and they won big, and they were playing defense. They only gave up 6 points combined in their first 3 games. Played a little bit weaker competition compared to the NIC North, but still, you have to give them credit. I mean, they won 33-0, 50-0, and 32-6, I think, in their 3 games. So when they got to NIC play, it got a little rougher for them. St. Joe beat them by 7 in a low-scoring game, and then they actually played really well against New Prairie last week. I mean, New Prairie beat them at New Prairie by 4 points in a game that was really back and forth the whole game. And New Prairie is a hard place to play. We unfortunately know that. So I thought they played really well. So they're 3-3. They're a solid team. They do some things that we are really hard to prepare for, and we're going to have to, like I said, have a really good plan and then execute our plan Friday night to win.
All right, with that being said, let's take a look at the keys for another victory.
I think it's getting off the field on defense is the first thing. They want to run the ball, a unique style of football where they run the ball to the perimeter side to side, and so we have to get off the field on 3rd down. And St. Joe early in the game milked some clock, and that's a good strategy against us because I mean obviously we can score quickly with the types of players and the system that we run. So getting off the field is one. Number 2 is we got to continue to clean up our special teams. It's kind of like we get better at one thing and then get worse at something else. It's like it's not a zero-sum game. And to tell our guys it's okay to get better at multiple things at once without getting worse at other things. So while we were way better on extra points, 7 for 7,
right,
our kickoff was not very good. Our kickers were not kicking it nearly the distance that they're used to. And so our kick coverage was pretty good. We had one breakdown in kick coverage, and we ended up getting away with it because the kid made a really good play. But got to get better there. And then the third thing is continue to not turn the ball over. We didn't turn it over Friday. We didn't turn it over. So, that's always a key in a game, especially the way we play. We just feel really strongly that if we don't shoot ourselves in the foot with turnovers and penalties, that if we make it the other team being the only way to stop us, and we feel really good about our chances.
We're still trying to go through the procedure. I mean, as far as the kickers are concerned, we're still trying to. I know she had one guy kicking off while the other guy was doing the extra points and whatnot. They're still going through the process here in the midway point of the season.
So Naeem Bean is our kicker for extra points, and he is. I think he's missed 2. One was blocked, and the other he just missed at Washington.
Right.
But I think so. It puts him at like 18 for 20 or something like that.
Okay.
Which in high school, shortening the game down gives you a better chance of it being close at the end. In theory, it's only in theory. So, in a game like that, time of possession didn't mean anything because we scored every second or third play, and so even though we barely had the ball, we had the ball a total of 3 snaps or 4 snaps in the first quarter, and we had 14 points. And then, when you're we eventually have to score.
We scored more touchdowns than we had minutes in the first half.
Yeah, exactly. So that's one of those things where it just depends. Everybody's going to try a little bit different. I think a big thing about it is it depends on if you think you're outmatched or not. Right. If you don't think you're outmatched, then there's no reason to change your style of play.
Well, Josh, you can't get 7-0 until we get 6-0, so let's go get Adams this Friday night.
Thanks, Mark. I appreciate it.
All right. In the tunnel with Coach Chuck, Mark Lowry with you.